Hello ladies and gentlemen, Dave Dobbs here at the birthday party, otherwise known as David Field from the book Laughing Gas. That's in fact David Field is my true name actually, but I used Dave Dobbs because that was the name I first used when I ran for government in 2001, when we realised that if you were a political party you could have your own 24-hour members only bar. So we turned a sound system into a political party, and then we all ended up running for government, and I accidentally became a politician. But hopefully, if you come along to the House of Commons at Glastonbury this year, because that's where we are right now, we're after the event, having a big clear up, and here I am at the Stone Circle, and it's a week after, it's Saturday now, Saturday after it's been a week, virtually a week after Glastonbury now. Yeah, and hopefully you saw in the House of Commons what a political party looks like with no policies. A party, basically. So hopefully, we, that's thanks to Debs Armstrong, who's Shangri-La, who took on Shangri-La after sort of like, well, she was always doing it with Roy, but when Roy finally left, it was just Debs Armstrong, and she obviously brought, Kay Dunnings into the picture, and Kay Dunnings actually designed the House of Commons, so big thank you there to Kay for an amazing job. It's been a bit of a challenge for a lot of people in Shangri-La, because Dave Dobbs, aka Dave Field, he's kind of losing the plot at the moment, because I had this dream that I saw Nibiru, and that was about 4 weeks ago. And of course I wrote a book about Nibiru. Effectively, I didn't know it was the Nibiru I was writing about. All I was told was that we are now approaching the wall, and that the wall is impenetrable to anything other than that which is of peaceful. And I didn't know what it was, but I was told when I came to Glastonbury, my mother, she's a channel, like my father, who died earlier this year, an amazing channel. He was one who showed me the techniques of how he learned to channel, which is how I managed to write Laughing Gas. And all I knew was that it was a wall that we were approaching. It wouldn't tell me what it was. And then when I came here, my mum channeled, and she channeled White Cloud, which is one of the beings that she's channeled many times throughout my life, and as my father channeled White Cloud as well. And she channeled for me when I came to Glastonbury, and she said, or he said when he came through, he said, Glastonbury is a very powerful place for me to be right now, it'd be good for my writing. And he said that he needed me to know that when the time comes, a message would be given to me, and that only I would know what to do with that message, and it would make sense, it would make everything, it would tie everything together, and then I would completely understand what's going on. And sure enough, 4 weeks ago I had a dream, and I saw Nibiru, and it flies past very close to Earth, and it blocks out the sun as it comes in, and it causes a lot of fear. But it won't hit, it doesn't hit us, it goes on by, but it will cause changes because it goes so close to the Earth, unfortunately. And I just want you to understand that that is going to come as I'm understanding it. That's what my vision told me. It is going to come, it's going to be very scary, and as I'm understanding, you really want to sort of like, as that comes past, it's going to cause it's going to cause changes. And we have to understand that those changes are quite important, what's going to come. I don't know how those changes are going to take effect. For myself, I'm off to the Pyrenees. I'm going on holiday to the Pyrenees. Going to my mate's birthday party, a magician's birthday party up in the mountains of the Pyrenees, funny enough. And so that's a good excuse for me to get as high as I can. And I can't advise you to do the same, because I don't know what the effect of Nibiru flying by is going to be. I know that the powers that be that are controlling, think they're controlling this world at the moment, they want to open up they want to use CERN to open up a black hole so they can escape this thing that comes, because they're convinced this thing's going to destroy them. And that's why they're doing the whole thing with CERN, as I'm understanding it. Of course I might be wrong. When I wrote Laughing Gas, about the story about, it's a story about a wall. It starts with Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. And it's the whole, to me, Humpty Dumpty, that little poem plays in the whole parody that we see in the left and right wing political nonsense that turns so many people in this country into fence sitters, where they could stand up. But unfortunately, we've just gone into a very, very right wing government now, and you and I can't change that anymore. Unfortunately, that's decided. It's a minority government deciding that this country is going to be it's going to take the footing of war and aggression, and We know what's unfolding. It's all about weapons, and there's no bigger picture, and that's a tragedy, you know. And that decision is going to affect the outcome of what happens with Nibiru massively, unfortunately, because as I'm understanding, the powers that control you know, the story about the wall that I was given when I wrote Laughing Gas, I didn't know what the wall was. All I was told was you approach the wall and nothing gets past that is not a peace. Nothing. And this country has chosen a very aggressive pathway by choosing a right-wing government. I don't know what Nibiru is going to do when it comes by, but we all understand that this country, Britain, has taken a terrible direction and believes that it has the right to do these things that it does in the name of war. And what's been shown to me is that we don't have those rights, and that now we need to experience what comes as a result of doing this, so that the learning can be transferred into the human genetics, so that the rest of humanity can see why those decisions are not a good decision. But it won't hit, and the message I got when it sailed by the morning after I had the vision was, it won't hit because it's not your karma, but it will bring about changes. It said that you are not a race at war, you are a race being subverted with war, and that needs to be dealt with. And we all know that needs to be dealt with now. We all know that we can't go on with this fission obsession of nuclear weapons and dumping depleted uranium on anyone that won't surrender their sovereignty to us. And that's what we do, you know. This needs to be sorted out. We need to be going into peace now. We need to be coming into peace, and we're not doing that, unfortunately. And we've done some terrible deeds. You know, this country, you might have not done it, and I might have not done it. And we might have lobbied our governments and been out on all the protests, but nonetheless, this country has taken that footing, and though we have had no power over that, you know, this country has just decided on a very right-wing direction, which means full-scale war. We know what it means. It means full-scale war. It means absolute nuclear armament to a whole new level. It means depleted uranium is going to be dumped on innocent countries all around the globe. Because that's what this country does. That's what the power that drives this country does, because it is tied up with the Atlantean energy and the Atlantean forces that exist in our oceans. Even though you cannot believe that. You cannot believe that when you talk about maritime law, you're talking about the powers of the sea that rule over much of this world, because they trade sovereignty. They trade our sovereignty for domination. And in return for in that exchange, we get all our iPhones and all this flashy technology, which is what's exchanged. This is what we're buying from the Atlanteans. This is what the whole relationship is that I've been trying to express in my last few videos. You know, it's caused a rift in Shangri-La this year, because you can imagine someone coming along and talking about Nibiru and all the rest of it. You know, it's just like there's a lot of people that like to think they're quite normal and cool out there, and they don't want these sort of stories of the dirt that their governments are doing being rubbed in their faces. They just want to have a good time and party. And hopefully you did party. Hopefully I demonstrated what a political party looks like with no policies. What you could have voted for. What you could have voted for. But, you know, many of you didn't vote at all. And you had that power to change the direction of this country, and, you know, for whatever reasons, you don't believe it anymore. Maybe you never believed in it. Maybe there's nothing to believe in. Maybe all our ancestors fought for in the past means nothing. Maybe they were just losers themselves. Maybe the whole history of all those who ever took a stand for something better than the agenda that's served up to us at the moment, maybe all those people, they're all just a bunch of losers. Who knows? But you'll know if I'm right and Nibiru comes over. As soon as you see it, you'll know in your heart of hearts. You'll absolutely know when you feel it. You'll feel it. It will move through you. And as the light goes out, it will scare you a little bit. All I can tell you is don't go into fear, because fear will achieve nothing. Nothing. Other than take you into a very low, dangerous place. You know, if you're in this country and it comes by at that time, get to high ground, number one, and number two, try and be as peaceful as you can, because if you haven't got out of the country by that stage, it's going to be very, very difficult to get out of this country at that stage. And I don't know what else to tell you really, other than hopefully I've spoken my truth, and hopefully for all of those nations around the globe, hopefully this country has taught you some valuable lessons. Don't make those same mistakes. Don't go thinking you can dump depleted uranium on sovereign countries and do the terrible crimes that we've done. Even Hitler has done nothing close to what David Cameron and Tony Blair have done. As much as it breaks my heart to say it, you know, they didn't touch, you know, the volume of depleted uranium dumped on Iraq. It was wrong. It was wrong. Invading those sovereign countries. When we invaded Libya, just after Fukushima, we used it as a, you know, David Cameron used it as a smokescreen to invade Libya. You know, he just saw the whole disaster of Fukushima as just another opportunity to wage another war on yet another sovereign country. And now this country's just decided to vote that man in power again. You know, hopefully I'm mad. Hopefully I'm mad. That me seeing from this perspective is just my insanity. I just popped. Something happened to me and I couldn't handle it anymore. I had to start speaking another truth. I had to start writing another truth. But the truth is, we come to a wall now. And it's like that. You cannot get past it. It's solid to anything that is other than peace. Throw everything you got at it. All your depleted uranium, all your nuclear weapons, everything you got. You won't be able to tickle this thing. Nothing you can do. There's nothing. For thousands of years, even if you'd known thousands of years ago, and we have known, it's been all the ancient texts that this thing comes around, Nibiru, it's in all the ancient scriptures and texts. They all knew about it. We personified it into Jesus. So we couldn't see this thing that allowed us to do all these horrible crimes because we've been expecting a man to come along and save us. When it was, the second coming was always this celestial object just coming around again. And I can't change that and you can't change that. But maybe, like I say, maybe I'm mad. And if I'm mad, job done. I can just toddle off and you can say, Dave's lost the plot, blah blah blah, carry on. Got lots of things to do, a whole agenda, some was to plan, blah blah blah. Crack on. I'm just mad. But I have said and I have told you. And if in your heart you think we can get away with what we've done, you've got nothing to worry about. But you have been told. Thank you. And thanks for everyone who helped me do this House of Come-Ons. What an amazing show. And sorry if it sounds like I've lost the plot. I probably have, you know. Just a bad day. Couldn't handle the sort of like the war crimes. I snapped. I lost it. That was it. Hopefully, you know what I mean, you're in a good headspace and you're going to know what to do. But, and of those of you who are getting the dreams now, listen to your instincts and follow your heart. Peace. So I wrote a book about Nibiru. Effectively, I didn't know it was the Nibiru I was writing about. All I knew, all I was told, was that we are now approaching the wall, and that the wall is impenetrable to anything other than that which is of peaceful. And I didn't know what it was, but I was told when I came to Glastonbury, my mother, she's a... Hello ladies and gentlemen, Dave Dobbs here at the birthday party, otherwise known as David Field from my book Laughing Gas. In fact, David Field is my true name actually, but I used Dave Dobbs because that was the name I first used when I ran for government in 2001, when we realised that if you were a political party you could have your own 24-hour members only bar. So we turned a... You know, she obviously brought Kay Dunnings into the picture, and Kay Dunnings actually designed the House of Commons, so big thank you there to Kay for an amazing job. You know, it's been a bit of a challenge for a lot of people in Shangri-La, because Dave Dobbs, aka Dave Field, is kind of losing the plot at the moment, because I had this dream that I saw Nibiru, and that was about 4 weeks ago, and of course announced him into a political party, and then we all ended up running for government, and I accidentally became a politician. But hopefully, if you come along to the House of Commons at Glastonbury this year, because that's where we are right now, we're after the event, having a big clear up, and here I am at the Stone Circle, and it's a week after, it's Saturday now, Saturday after it's been a week, virtually a week after Glastonbury now. And yeah, and hopefully you saw in the House of Commons what a political party looks like with no policies. A party, basically. So hopefully, you know, that's thanks to Debs Armstrong, who's Shangri-La, who took on Shangri-La after sort of like, you know, well, she was always doing it with Roy, but you know, when Roy finally left, it was just Debs Armstrong, and she obviously brought